name's Lauren, and today I'm going to be reading The Puppy Place by Ellen Miles. Chapter 1. Date, April 22nd. Time, 4 p.m. Event, Caring Club, first meeting. President, Lizzie Peterson. Notes by Lizzie Peterson. Others in attendance, Charles and Betsy Peterson, Maria, Miss Dobbins, Julie, shelter employee, and Sammy. Miss Dobbins and Lizzie opened the meeting with an explanation of what the Caring Club is about. Our mission is to learn the best ways to care for and help our animal friends, to educate the public about animals and pets, and to do good deeds for our community. History of the club, Lizzie reads about another Caring Club in some other town and asked Miss Dobbins if they could help start one about Caring Paws Animal Shelter. When Lizzie volunteers, Lizzie is the president because the whole thing was her idea. Lizzie's younger brother, Charles, has joined, and their mother, Betsy, who also attends the meetings as often as possible, as long as she doesn't have to watch their younger brother. Adam also knows that Bean, who might be too squirmy to sit through a whole Caring Club meeting. The Petersons are all very familiar with the problems pets face, since they are a foster family for puppies. Maria and Lizzie's family's best friend and also animal lover. Although she loves horses best of all, Sammy is Charlie's best friend who lives next door. Meeting continued with brainstorming session about living and caring, about things the Caring Club could do. For example, write informative letters to the editor of the newspaper about pets and how to care for them properly, like not leaving them in your car when it's warm out. Be kind to every dog and cat and horse we meet. Teach our own pets, for example, the Petersons' puppy, Buddy, the cutest, sweetest dog ever, how to be a good canine citizen with nice manners. Have a bake sale or a dog wash, like a car wash, but only with dogs, or something else to raise funds for Caring Paws. Take our well-behaved dogs to school and workplaces to show off their manners and maybe also some fun tricks they can do. 4:30, meeting suddenly adjourned, explanation later. It was just as well that Lizzie decided to give up on taking notes, since no matter how fast she scribbled, it would have taken her way too long to write down everything that happened that spring afternoon in the middle of the first Caring Club meeting. What happened was this. First, there was a knock at the door. Miss Dobbins? Andrew, the boy who worked at the front desk of the animal shelter, poked his head in. His cheeks were flushed pink, and he stumbled over his words. I think you might want to come see what just arrived. Miss Dobbins stood up. Thank you, Andrew, she said. There was something about Andrew's face that made everyone else stand up too and follow Miss Dobbins into the parking lot in front of the shelter. There, Lizzie saw a big, shiny black car pulled up at an angle to the front door. The car's windows were rolled down just a bit. Lizzie couldn't believe what she was seeing, so she stepped forward to take a closer look. That car was full of puppies. Puppies' noses stuck out of every window, sniffing and snuffling and snorting. Puppy paws pressed against the glass. Lizzie saw brown puppies, white puppies, and black puppies, fluffy puppies and sleek puppies, big puppies and tiny puppies. Lizzie had never seen so many puppies in one place. The car door opened and a tall, gangly man unfolded himself from the front seat, holding back 3 puppies that tried to climb out after him. He was worn, faded overalls with a clean white shirt underneath. He wasn't handsome. In fact, he was kind of funny looking, but there was something about him that Lizzie liked right away. He tipped his red baseball cap and smiled at Mrs. Dobbins. "Hello, ma'am," he said. "Mr. Burgard?" Miss Dobbins stared at the car, at the man, and at the puppies. "What is this?" The man pushed back his cap, scratched his head, and smiled shyly at Lizzie, and Lizzie found herself smiling back at him. "Puppies," he drawled in a southern accent. "A whole passel of puppies." "I can see that." Miss Dobbins turned to the others. "Mr. Burgard is new to the town, but he has already become a very generous supporter of the Caring Paws." Lizzie knew what it meant. He might not look it, but this man was rich, and he loved animals. That was good. Caring Paws always needed money for dog food, cat litter, and flea shampoo, and veterinarian's bills. There are some other friends at the shelter. Miss Dobbins swept a hand towards the members of the Caring Club. "All I can think is all we want to know about what you're doing with the carload of puppies. I bought 'em. I bought the whole lot from a man selling puppies out of the big white truck with red stripes on it, down on Route 9. I couldn't stand and see those little critters being sold like they were apples on corn at a farm stand, so I gave a man every cent in my pockets, and I told him I would never want to see him around these parts again." Miss Dobbins frowned. "I've seen that truck. It makes me so mad that someone would sell puppies that way. I've called the authorities, but they say there's no law against it." "Why is it so terrible?" asked Sammy. "If I was driving past that truck with my mom or dad, I'd want to stop and get a puppy." "That's exactly it," said Miss Dobbins. She began to lecture that Lizzie had heard many times before. "If you want to add a pet to your family, there's lots to think about. You need to be sure you're ready for the responsibility. Once you take it over, you can adopt a pet from a shelter or buy one from a responsible breeder. But buying a puppy from a truck just on a spur of a moment, that's not a good idea." Mr. Brigard let out a big booming laugh. "That's for sure," he said. "As soon as I did it, I thought, now what, Daniel? I'd love to keep every one of these rascals myself, but I'm always traveling for business. Then I figured out that you'd know what to do. So I drove a whole bunch of them over here." He ducked his head and smiled guiltily at Miss Dobbins. "Of course I'll cover any extra costs you rack up taking care of these little peanuts." "Well," said Mrs. Dobbins, "I guess we better start sorting them out." While Lizzie and the others watched, Miss Dobbins, Mr. Brigard, Andrew, and Julie began to unload the puppies. First, Mrs. Dobbins pulled out a chunky black lab pup out of the black seat. She handed the pup to Andrew, who handed it into the shelter to find an empty kennel. Mr. Brigard got into the cart and passed along a shaggy white pup that looked a lot like Snowball, a feisty West Highland white terrier Lizzie's family had once fostered. Then came 3 puppies in a row, another lab, a squirmy dachshund, a sort of beagly-looking brown and white dog whose long droopy ears reminded Lizzie of Patches, another foster puppy. "Oh, he's cute," said Lizzie. The puppy sneezed. "Cute, yes," said Mrs. Dobbins, "but there's a good chance this puppy might be sick, too. I think these puppies came from a puppy mill." Mr. Brigard nodded. "A few of these pups are gonna need some TLC. Lizzie knew what TLC meant, tender love and care, but even though she had heard of a puppy mill before, she wasn't exactly sure what it was. She knew that paper was made in a paper mill and steel was made in a steel mill, so a puppy mill, she asked, "What's that? Like a factory for puppies?" Miss Dobbins sighed. "Exactly. People who run puppy mills keep mother dogs in cages and make them have a litter after litter of puppies, just so they can sell them." She started to talk faster and more loudly, the way she always did when she was upset about something having to do with animals. "The puppies grow up with very little exposure to people, in overcrowded conditions where diseases can spread easily. The puppies are sold at pet stores or through classified ads to owners who don't know what they may be buying a sick dog or a mixed-up puppy with behavioral problems that can't be solved." Now Miss Dobbins looks really sad. There are already plenty of unwashed puppies in the world, and we don't need more. Puppy mills are terrible, terrible things." "But aren't they illegal?" Mom asked. She held a dachshund and rocked it like a baby. "They must be. How could anyone treat dogs that way?" "They're banned in some places, but not in this state. Our legislature hasn't passed a law against puppy mills yet," Miss Dobbins said. She sighed and went back to unloading her car. The puppies just kept coming. Andrew and Julie took the dogs into the shelter and settled them into kennels. Lizzie saw a tiny long-haired Shih Tzu, a German Shepherd with huge ears and a pointy nose. "That looks just like Scout when he was a puppy," Charles said when he saw it, "and another lab puppy, and a yellow one this time." Lizzie wished she could hug and kiss and hold every single one of them, but Miss Dobbins wanted to get them settled as quickly as possible. We're out of kennels," reported Andrew after he'd taken the yellow lab puppy inside. I was afraid of that," said Miss Dobbins, "and there are still 2 puppies left, brother and sister, by the looks of them." She reached into the car one more time, and Mr. Brigard handed over 2 tiny, teeny puppies. Their heads were shaped just like apples, and both had short fur, perky ears, and big, bulgy, shiny brown eyes. "This one was a boy," Miss Dobbins held up the brown and white one, "and this one's a girl." She showed off the black and white one, too. Lizzie could hardly believe how small they were. They snuggled together, fitting perfectly into Mrs. Dobbins' cupped hands. Lizzie couldn't help herself. She walked right over to Miss Dobbins and put her finger to gently pet the black and white puppy's tiny head. "Chihuahuas," said Lizzie. "You're absolutely right," said Miss Dobbins.